Alrighty. Hello everybody and welcome to Jet Set Radio Bingo Season 2. I'm Matt Precious. I'm joined by co-commentator The Dilla for the very first time.
Hello there.
I'm also going to play some music. There we go. Can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me? By see me, I mean can you see the stream? Can you all hear me? Can you hear Dilla? How loud's the music? Let's get all these things worked out before we start the game. And while you're all telling me, let's talk a little bit about bingo. So, welcome back. It's Season 2. Things are mostly the same as they were last season. It's going to be a single round robin, best of 3 games, and that will determine playoff qualification. We'll have 2 semi-finals and then a final to see who the bingo champions are. Today's game is between Team Modders and Super Scarf Cretins and Knuckles 2, the Halo reacharounds, which is Ace Bats and Ailess back again. Ace and Daft have teamed up this season. Should be interesting to see how that all plays out. And I think we're all good to go. So Dilla, if you wanted to let them all know in Bingo Sync chat that we are ready for them to start, we're going to send it over to the gameplay screen. And so we see the Modders with their fantastic opening home screen. Both teams have put a little bit of preparation into this game in true bingo style. It wouldn't be bingo if there wasn't a little bit of smack talk going around. So we have UCF. That's the mission statement from Team Modders. Okay, so while they're all getting ready, we can reveal the board with our shiny new automatic Bingo Sync reader. So scoring is now automatic because Ace is amazing. That's going to make things a lot easier for me. Dilla, what do you think about this board?
I think that this board has a lot of potential, especially in the early game. I think we'll see a couple of people head off instantly into that Shibuya area, try to get those 2 default souls that spawn there. Pretty quick souls, and I bet whoever gets those 2 are going to have a real advantage going into the later parts of the game.
Yeah, what a great way to start Bingo Season 2 than with Shibuya Cubby center square. That's fantastic. That is pretty much the most iconic of all the bingo squares. We also have Sky Dino graffiti, and we have Shibuya graffiti and SDPP graffiti. So 3 big graffiti tiles for the teams to battle over in this one. This might actually end up being a little bit of a longer game because of those 3 graffitis.
Well, we have to remember though, one of them is Shibuya, which can be done relatively quickly.
I remember in the lead up to the season we were doing some actual specific timing, and it looks like we're getting started with our very first game of the best of 3 between Modders and SSC&K. Bingo Season 2 starting off in expected fashion, really, because we're off the Shibuya terminal, both Ailess and Daft heading off that way.
Ailess went into Shibuya, and then we see Ace Bats and 7th Ace racing into 99th Street.
And Ailess picks up the Cubby Soul. Faster to the punch there, first point on the board for the Super Scarf Cretins and Knuckles, but this allows Daft to get the Shibuya platform in exchange. Ailess gets hit by a bus and is a little bit slower to that. We'll see where they go following this.
It'll be interesting to see if one of them... Oh, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if one of them goes and tries to get the soul and pick up the soul. Oh my god. Pick up the tape, which it looks like Ailess and Daft are both doing.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot to grab here in Shibuya, as you said off the bat. There's quite a lot for them to get. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, we've got Ace working towards 99th Street unlocks, and Ace Bats has actually gone straight through 99th, I believe.
I believe that Ace Bats attempted to beat Ace to Dark Center, but was not able to get there faster than him.
That was brave. An attempt was made nonetheless, but we actually see Ailess head straight to Chuo, as has Daft, and again, Ailess winning out on that race. So keeping Super Scarf Cretins in the game right now, the Modders with a single point lead right now, but perhaps working towards that column 2 bingo, actually.
Yep. We see Daft and Ailess both working towards that Shiro tape right now. Definitely planning to stick on there for a while then.
Yeah, interesting that Shibuya Graffiti is on the it's on the horizontal, the column 2, and it's also on the wait, that's not how graphs work. It's on the horizontal and the vertical for both the tiles that that the modders have right now, so they could be working towards the column 2 bingo and the row 4 bingo with the Shibuya Graffiti, but they're focusing more on Chuo Street at the moment, which again kind of contributes towards that row 4 bingo. Meanwhile,
no, the others have a map.
Straight to Sky Dino.
Yeah, and it looks like him and 7th Ace chose to diverge. 7th Ace going into Highway 0 versus going into SDPP, Sky Dino.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite things to see about 2v2 bingo, is sometimes you get 2 players in the same place, sometimes you get 4 players in similar places on the map, and then you get situations like this where half the map is shared and half of it is diverged like this, and it's going to be interesting to see whose decision-making is better in this situation. Also, shout out to Ace Bats Graffiti, by the way.
Interesting to note that he did skip about 5 or 6 graffiti at the beginning when he started. I wonder if he did that just because he wants to do his own predetermined path, or just didn't think about it at the time.
Well, he got the soul, so maybe he was looking for the soul first, not necessarily knowing exactly where Ace was, and wanted to make sure he could win that one. So he wasn't prioritizing the graffiti right at the beginning, but I think maybe he now knows where Ace is and that he's safe to get the graffiti in his own time. But the question is, how much can modders pick up in the time that Ace Bat spends in SDPP? Sorry, Sky Dino.
Yeah, and it looks like 7th Ace just finished cleaning out Highway 0. It'll be interesting to see if he tries to go into Sky Dino and contest Ace Bats' graffiti route.
I don't think he needs to. If you look at the column 2 and the row 4 right now, those bingos are coming along very, very nicely for modders. Will SSC&K react, or will they stick to their plan? Alis is on the Shibuya Graffiti right now, but Daft is also in the area.
Daft is currently ahead by 4 sprays, I believe.
This could go any way. I'm gonna check my playlist real quick.
I would assume that right now Ace is probably going to make a beeline towards Kiwagaoka Hill.
Alright, there we go. We've listened to a lot of funky deals, so I'm gonna switch it up. There we go.
Oh, and it looks like Alis has overtaken Daft on this graffiti route. Daft looking a bit lost on this graffiti route.
Yeah, so coming into the tournament, actually, Daft has been very busy with other things, and Alis has put a little bit more practice in, I think it's fair to say. So she might be a little bit fresher on these graffiti routes.
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be an easy graffiti route win for Alis, since she's going to block out this bingo pretty easily.
Yeah, and that'll pretty much even up the score if she can finish it off quickly, but that means keeping an eye on where Ace and Ace Bats are. Because if this is an even game, then what they do next could be really important, since they are both on Dark Side. SDPP is an option for them for graffiti.
And just to keep an update on Ace, he decided to delay going to Kibo and get 40 tricks in 99th Street. So it looks like their double bingo will just not work, just for missing this graffiti route.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Ace is just cutting his losses and saying, we're not going to get these double bingos, so I might as well do something else. And also, it's worth pointing out that SSC&K are working towards a diagonal bingo, bottom left to top right. Because Ace Bats is now in SDPP, where Air 4 is an option for them.
I don't recall seeing either of them pick up the tape going through the initial part of SDPP.
I think Ace Bats is working towards it in a roundabout fashion, picking up the graffiti while he's on the way. But yeah, probably could have picked it up on the way through to Sky Dino the first time. I think that might have been better foresight.
7th Ace just picked up the RDH tape. He's probably going to pick up the top of station shoal and then work on unlocking RDH.
So there's grind 10. Yeah, it's a quick and easy one.
Pose, but it's not too much of a deal because the polar is just right there. Immediately picks up top of station.
This is a lot of points for modders quite quickly.
Oh, it looks like Daft just somehow overtook A-List on the graffiti route.
Numbers don't tell all the story though, because there is a lot of work that goes into navigating through the areas. See, it's still 2 sprays, and it depends on how close together those sprays are. To see,
yeah, it depends on what 4 sprays A-List needs.
Yeah, and if it's just these ones over here on these platforms, I think she might be able to finish this off quicker. Here we go. It was close, it went down to 1 spray, but in the end, A-List clutches it, and the Shibuya Graffiti goes over to SSC&K. That brings them right back into the game, as SDPP Air is picked up by Acebats as well. That leaves just Hikage 300,000 points for their diagonal bingo, but A-List has returned to Garage. Yeah, no, she's realized, she's turning back. Okay, good. Now Daft is on a mad rush, gets hit by a car though, so this is going to be a very, very close race to that diagonal bingo.
I think that Daft is going to enter first. I don't know what kind of stream delay we're working with here, but it could be Daft entering first.
Yeah, I think Daft's stream delay is slightly more than A-List's, so he might be slightly ahead here. It comes down to execution though.
It's unfortunate to see A-List unlock that soul and waste a few seconds.
Those tiny little things, they can add up, especially in really, really close situations like this. I mean, they are right next to each other. Meanwhile, Acebats working on SDPP Graffiti. So there's some, I wouldn't say guaranteed points, but certainly a pretty good bank of points to work towards there, since he's not really contested in that area.
It's important to note that he also pre-sprayed Sky Dino, or partial sprayed it. So
yeah, he never finished that off in the end.
If it comes down to these graffitis, then they could run into issues where Acebats tries to have to do both if he doesn't finish off one of them here.
I feel like he has to commit to something here, and I think SDPP is the right move, because that way you're not depending on this bingo that A-List is racing for.
The issue with going for the SDPP graffiti route here is that it just takes such a long time that they could run into issues of Ace just being here for such a long time that nothing else gets accomplished on the board.
That is the risk that they take, yeah. It's a close game right now. Very, very close, in fact, just a single point in it. This bingo could swing things wide open, because the diagonal bingo denies all other bingos, meaning it would pretty much force the modders to get the graffitis if they want to keep in this game, because there's just no other way to make up those points.
They both unlock the soul. Now they're racing to it, see if Daft can pick up the 300k soul faster than A-List can.
This is going to be down to the wire. Just comes down to better movement now. Daft is slightly ahead.
Missed it. He missed it the first time though. A-List got it!
A-List got it. Oh, that is a bingo. First of the season, and it goes over to SSC&K. Congratulations to them. That puts them in the lead.
This bingo is so important for them to pick up. Having the pre-spray in Sky Dino and the potential spray finish in SDPP, the points are just going to get overwhelming in their side of the board, even with less squares achieved.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So it is a 3-point lead right now for SSC&K. They've denied all of the bingos away from modders. They have the advantage on graffiti. It's really just a matter of closing the game out now. And we've seen Ace actually get boogled. He's been in Kibo for quite some time. And while all of this has been happening, he hasn't achieved really anything in Kibo. Kibo's a long area, but he's just now getting around to the back end of it.
And it probably feels so rough to be Daft right now. He's been beat out by A-List for the majority of the squares on this board, only picking up 0 times 30 and 2 Shibuya souls. I wonder how that's going to affect his mentality going forward.
Yeah, and that's something we have to consider as well. This is a best of 3. Strategies can change and adapt over time. And we had all these narratives last season about how 54 Keys were an early game team, but they might be prone to tilt. And that already got turned around in the end when we saw them reverse sweep in the final. We don't really know what there is on that kind of dimension of bingo this time around. We've got a bunch of new teams. We have a new player, that's you. The only remaining team from Season 1 is SSC&K, and I wouldn't say then that they're even that much of a known quantity, because they put so much work into practicing, they have this established synergy, that I feel like that they are able to pull some surprising things out, and so far, game 1 looks really good for them. Oh, Alice. Was she going for the, what do we call that? Evo Mega? Store launch strat?
It's Fast Falls, Amazing Fine.
Yeah, that's the one. Mm-hmm.
That's the one.
Well, Alice, I suppose, has changed her mind, not wishing to deal with Phospho's Amazing Find today.
Yeah, she just saw people pick up the special, so she realized that there's nothing for her to do. Ace has probably already unlocked everything on the Evo side, so she just needs to get out and go do just anything else on the board.
Yeah, so heading to bottom point for the 50k points. Is that the slower one? Because there are 2 point souls in bottom point. I feel like this is the faster one, right? 50k?
50k, it's 50k and... Is there 2 in? No, I thought Sewers only had 2.
50k is the slow one. Yeah, there are, because bottom point doesn't have a special soul, so like Sewers, it has 2 point souls. Okay. The first one is quick, the second one is slow. Thank you, JP. So, should be able to get to the back of the map with the sexy fish clip, but still not the fastest soul ever. Nonetheless, still a distinct advantage for SSC&K right now, as SDPP has been abandoned by Ace Bats, but he's gone back to Sky Dino to finish that off. A little bit erratic in his routing, but it's still, I would say, an advantage for
I'd say this
them.
might actually, it depends on how much he sprayed of SDPP, because if he sprayed a majority of it, he can now focus on this, get the last few sprays he needs here, and then once you see it, they're going to hardcore course for SDPP. And Ace already having sprayed most of it could lead to them to seeing 2 easy graffiti souls as squares.
Yeah, it's a difficult game to keep up with, and 2v2 bingo tends to be. A lot happening at the at any given moment, and of course we don't know exactly when and where and to the extent of which everyone has sprayed everything. But I'm gonna trust the process here and imagine that Ace Bats is doing the right thing here. And really, it's the modders playing catch up right now.
It's surprising to see. Actually, we can see some great decision making here from the 7th Ace. They're both rushing to this side of the map that Ace Bats has been spraying this entire level. And I think it's just too late. They've gone to this area too late. And the time that Ace Bats has spent here, even though he hasn't been doing much else, is probably going to secure them the win just because Alice was able to snipe Daft so much in the Shibuya portion of the map.
Yeah, I mean, you were right when we came into the match. You said it, Shibuya was going to be a big focus in the early game, and it absolutely was. And Alice being able to clutch out those early souls may have made all the difference here. And that diagonal bingo, as well as being able to deny the 2 bingos that the modders were setting up, really good strategy coming into game 1 from SSC&K.
So now we see both teams abandoning the sewers area of the map. It's kind of shocking to see Alice do this just because of how much Bats' pre-sprayed of this area. You would have expected to see her just go for that sewers times 4, just secure another square on the board as Ace Bats marks off Sky Dino spray.
Well, if we do the maths right now, if SSC&K lock in the SDPP graffiti, that's it. Game over, they win. But if the modders get it, they're still very much in this game. They're at a disadvantage, but if there's one person who can do this route quickly, it's Ace. It's absolutely 7th Ace. And so if they can snipe this, then suddenly we've got a game on our hands. So I can see Alice coming in here for insurance, knowing that Bats had to finish off Sky Dino, making some kind of sense. But now they're both in the area, so I'm not sure if it's really worthwhile, because in the end it could still come down to that Sewers air soul. There's a lot of different moving parts going on here.
And it looks like Daft and 7th Ace are pulling split duties. Daft just rushing up to the observatory soul where Ace gets the sprays. It's gonna be interesting to see. Okay, it looks like Ace Bats is halfway through the sprays, and it'll be interesting to see if 7th Ace can catch up and take the square from them.
Let's see. Mathematically, I believe if Alis beats Daft to the Observatory Soul, they force at least a tie in game 1. Because they would move up to 17, and that would leave 4 points left on the board if Modders scored. They would also be at 17. So Alis is pretty much going for the win condition here by getting this top of Observatory Soul, and not losing too much for it because they still have the advantage on Graffiti. But Sewers Air 4 still on the board, and everyone's in the same area right now. It could end up being a mad rush to Sewers at the very end to determine the outcome of this game. Daft up at the top of the observatory though.
Ever
so slightly, but it goes over to Daft just barely. Once again, another really close call between the two of them.
Alis had a super clean climb. If Daft had been any slower in his climb, then that soul would have gone to Alis, and it would have been a huge upset.
Yeah, the practice has paid off really for Alis. I know she was spending a lot of time in SDPP before the game.
Yeah. Now we're going to see Alis and Daft both rush over to Sewers. They're both going to try to get that Sewers Air 4 soul. Because
if Daft gets this, then Modders can win.
Yes, if Daft gets this and Ace gets the Graffiti, then this is definitely a victory for Modders in game 1.
We have to keep our eyes on the Graffiti race in SDPP because Ace Bats has had a huge advantage, but as we said, 7th Ace knows this route like the back of their hand. A lot of catching up to do, but we've seen it happen before.
It looks like 7th Ace is still 14 sprays, though we're not sure exactly which sprays Ace Bats elected to get when he first came through this level.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing here is that 7th Ace can follow the prescribed route to the T, whereas Ace Bats has had a bit of an erratic route going in and out of the area, so it's going to be hard to really tell who has the advantage on the route, just numerically right now, and just by the eye test, it's Ace Bats. Mad rush to Sewers right now as well.
Daft is going to get into Sewers first, but it would be interesting to see if Alis is able to pull off some of these half-pipe jumps, that she could get to the top faster than Daft can.
Sewers
even though Daft has such an advantage.
The skill expression can really make the difference in these close scenarios. Oh, Daft taking a dip in the pool. It's going to slow him down a little bit. This really is anyone's game right now. So let's see, yeah, who's going to go for the fast Sewers movement, or if they're going to go for something that's safe. No, Alis looking for the jump, not going to get it first time, where it looks like Daft is going to go for the safe, standard vanilla movement, is also having trouble.
Alis missed the hand plant on the first, that's why she missed the jump. She misses it the second time, just a bit too sharp in her angle.
You can still fail this a couple of times and come out on top.
Yes, as we see, Daft is only just now getting to the transition between floor 1 and floor 2.
Yeah, there it is.
And even though
Alis gets his third try.
She failed this trick 3 times, not electing to go for the half-pipe jump onto center structure.
Let's see how her NPG knowledge helps her out in this situation as well, in terms of knowing where the soul is and how to unlock it most effectively. That's it unlocked, now she just needs to get there. Definitely with the lead over Daft right now.
Yeah, I can definitely say I've never seen center structure jump done like that. Pretty impressive to get the unlock and the center structure jump on the same jump.
So checking in on SDPP Graffiti. Let's see here, Ace Bats. We don't really know what he's doing or what his route is. You could say perhaps that he's freestyling. But he looks like he's nearly done, at least.
He has not gotten top of observatory. We just saw from his map check that he is missing top of observatory. Well, 7th Ace is getting that now. That could be a huge game changer later on.
Now we saw Alis with a really clean movement up to the top of observatory, but it's a hard ask. It's a really difficult piece of movement. It takes a lot of time, and if you mess it up, that could give the game away.
And 7th Ace and Ace Patch just needs 7 more graffiti. 4 of those graffiti are on top of observatory, so when he makes that climb, he needs to ensure that he has enough hands to be able to accomplish that.
Yeah, it's a really punishing part of the route. You don't want to, if there's any place you don't want to make mistakes in SDPP Graffiti, it's that. Management, movement, it's the most important at that part of the route.
Still looks like he's keeping that 10 graffiti lead over 7th Ace going into the end of his route. See, he's able to maintain it and claim the square. As we see, A-list grab air times 4, or adapt to steer transition sewers.
So SSC&K have secured at least a tie in this game, pending the result of SDPP Graffiti.
And it looks like, okay, there's a 7th aces win.
So this will at least alleviate their difficulty or their concerns with not winning a game, or perhaps losing all of their games, because they've forced at least a tie and they can still win this game. Let's see. I suppose there's no real effort in, or no real point for Daft to really do anything other than just hang around, because there's no way he's going to be able to do all of SDPP right now, and the same for A-list. So the focus really is on the 2 aces as we come to the very end of this game.
I'm kind of confused. I guess A-Spats missed the jump. I assume he was trying to go for the death loop to get him a bit closer to that observatory climb, but he missed the jump between the buildings and fell to the generic skyscraper death warp spawn.
Yeah, Bat's movement kind of letting him down a little bit at the moment here. And if there's one person who can punish it, it's 7th ace. Oh man, it's painful to watch in such a tense situation.
I'm not sure what A-Spats is trying to accomplish.
This is possible. You just got to get it right, and he does finally get it right. Yeah. We're now heading up to the observatory, which I believe are the last sprays that he needs to get. As you said, he didn't route towards them, and I'm guessing that this is the last place that he needs to be. Meanwhile, checking in on 7th ace is now in the central area in Faro Park. Picking up some cans. Probably now heading over to do that central graffiti and then move over to the left side, so...
you know what? Yeah. 33, this he made a lot closer.
That's made him lose this one here. This is going to be incredibly close.
All 7th ace has is the censored graffiti. He's going to go pick up the 2 mediums on top of the 2 larges on top of the temple thing on the right side of the map, and he'll just have to pick up 1 more graffiti after that.
This is incredible. I mean, we talked about it, and it's happening, but Bats is right up top as well. 3 sprays to go, but there are more.
That ace needs.
There's another one, isn't there?
Not on top of that temple.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. No, sorry, Bats is he's got more to do. He didn't finish the route on top of Observatory.
It looks like this one's probably going to end in a tie. Unless one graffiti left for both.
Yeah, it comes down to the last graffiti. I think Aces...
He missed the graffiti where, after this, he fell off the building and elected not to try to finish it after he fell off the building.
Oh, it's down to Kevin. It goes over to 7th ace. 7th ace? No. It goes over to Ace Bats.
Yeah. Just barely finishing half a frame, like frames between the last sprays between them.
Oh.
Ace Bats.
What a great start to the season. Ah, man, I love getting confused out of my mind at the very beginning of the season. Frames determining the outcome of Game 1 between SSC&K and MODDURS. It does go over to the team in teal, taking the win 20 points to 14. But it was one tile that made the difference. Whew.
Interesting to see that 7th ace must have missed that spray when he was doing his original route. So missing that spray, biting him in the butt.
This is going to be a great one to watch back, to notice all of those tiny little mistakes and snipes that happened over the course of this game that ended up determining the outcome. Every square mattered. That's crazy. Whew. Okay, well, we're going to get Game 2 prepared. We're going to update the score because it is a lead for SSC&K moving into Game 2. So, I am going to deal with the board. Dilla, entertain the hordes of adoring fans.
Into the loading screen.
Transition to the loading screen? Or
yeah,
well, I'm going to update the score first. Let's do that.
That's fair.
Also, we can appreciate the Ace Bats graffiti while we wait, while I leave it on the screen. So yeah, huge win for SSC&K. Okay, we're going to take a slight break while we get prepped for Game 2. We'll be back in a moment with more bingo.
No, you're gonna dig this.
"30 seconds to the reveal."
We are back for Game 2. So, let's get a look at board 2 for Game 2. What do you think?
And I think that this board is completely different than Game 1. It's going to be we're going to see a completely different style of approach, just because not having as many easy souls as the first board did with Shibuya 2 defaults.
Yeah, and this time around the graffiti game is a little bit different. We've got 2, I believe. We've got Hikage and Bottom Point, and Bottom Point is really quick.
Bottom Point is up there with one of the fastest graffiti routes in the game next to Shibuya and Highway 0.
Yeah, so we could see someone head to that one early. Let's see, what else is there in sewers? We've got
we have
Sewer
a lot.
Special, 100-meter room, it's back to haunt us again.
And there's a lot of things to do in this series area, so even if somebody commits to Bottom Point early, it's not really going to bite them too much.
Just look at that SDPP on the top row. Points, entrance pillar, top of observatory, all in a row there. With Highway 0 as well, another Dark Side soul. And then just the top 100 from FRZ to pick up for that free bingo.
Which row?
The top row.
I'm seeing Highway 0 FRZ.
Yep, Highway 0 FRZ and then SDPP all the way home.
So if somebody wanted to go for lap bingo, Ekla, we would have to see one of their opponents immediately, I feel, rush into FRZ, try to secure that one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be 1 to sewers, 1 to dark side, I think, and that's immediately what we see as we start game 2. Ace Bats in 7th place off the dark side again.
Yeah, it looks like 7th Ace and Darkside elected to go to the same side of the map again. I'm not sure I agree with this. There's just so much to do in sewers this time around that giving A-list free reign over that area could be risky.
Yeah, I agree. Also, Hikage is kind of stacked as well, which is something that neither team has elected to go for. And yeah, Ayla straight to Bottom Point for the graffiti route. Interesting. I would have preferred to see the FRZ tricks.
Especially with Ace Bats immediately picking that entrance pillar, beating 7th Ace to it, which is insane.
Yeah, that's impressive movement there from Bats to get that one first. And that means Ace is going to head straight into Highway 0 while Ace Bats is in SDPP.
It'll be interesting to see if 7th Ace elects. Yeah, it looks like 7th Ace is electing to go immediately for the trash pit.
Yeah, to deny that top row bingo straight away. And also, now you see, I feel like maybe both teams are not quite on the same page here, because if you were going to send Ace to Highway 0 to get that, maybe you then send Daft to Hikage and set up for that column 1 bingo. And then on the other side of it, if you're going to send Ace Bats to SDPP, then maybe you send A-List immediately to FRZ. And neither team did that.
So it looks like neither team wanted to contest that bingo just because of how spread out most of those souls were.
Perhaps. But we see 2 players in Sky Dino right now. And yeah, that bingo is coming together quickly for the modders. Ooh.
Modders is electing to go straight for this diagonal bingo. We're going to see Daft 7 racing to the Jazz race here, I believe, with 7th Ace trying to get that grind 15 soul in Highway 0.
Ooh, that one eluded me. That's a really good call. I was focusing on the other potential bingos, but yeah, that one looks perhaps the fastest of all of them, actually. It also explains why Ace Bats went out to Sky Dino, but unfortunately, it looks like he got sniped to everything that there was there, so Daft coming out on top in that battle, and this is a really solid start.
Sadly for the modders, we're seeing Daft take a really long time to get out of Sky Dino. We're going to potentially see Ace Bats having noticed this bingo, rushing to 99th Street to pick up this Jazz unlock.
Yeah, this would be tragic after what was a really, really powerful start for the modders to lose out on the last possible square. Similar to game 1, they had a really good double bingo setup, and it just didn't come to fruition in the end because of A-List winning that Shibuya graffiti. But I feel like this one was less greedy and more reliable from them. But it will come down to Jazz Race, which I have to give it to Bats, because he's just so far ahead of Daft.
Yeah, Daft isn't even just entered SDPP. There's no way he gets to this race before Ace Bats. And there's not a lot of room for error in the Jazz race.
A-List struggling here with the tricks unlock in FRZ. She's been in here for quite some time. Has not been able to pick up anything. She actually went for the bottom point special soul, which is the faster one. But she didn't go for the graffiti, so she's instead going for the tricks. It's a little erratic from SSC&K in game 2.
The real tragedy here, though, would be if Daft starts the Jazz race before Ace Bats finishes it, not realizing Ace Bats is already inside the race.
Oh, that would be a lot of time committed and time lost. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. Let's have a look at what 7th Ace is doing right now, heading off to sewers. We talked about it being a relatively stacked area. Hebo again.
Tragedy strikes from modders. Daft talks to Jazz.
The only time where talking to Jazz is ever detrimental. This is really rough. And the worst thing is that Daft's not going to know about it for another 15 seconds or so. And then the penny will drop.
But 7th Ace is a master of sewers. We're going to see 7th Ace pick up a lot of souls here relatively quickly. Unless he goes into FRZ and A-List has already gotten them.
Ace, yeah, in FRZ, what's the call here? We've got grind 10, 100 tricks has been picked up, air has already been picked up. Yeah, I'm not sure what Ace is doing here. I would just turn around and leave if I was them.
I agree. I agree completely, Ekla. Seeing A-List pick up these souls in this fast of a fashion, that should just ring out to 7th Ace abandon, and he finally sees it. He's leaving the area.
Yeah. The thing about FRZ, which kind of sets it apart from other areas, is the return on investment on souls. It takes a long time to get going in FRZ, but once you get everything unlocked, it's pretty quick to pick up all the souls.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting to see the SSC&K2, the Halo Reach rounds, have now set up a perfect bingo with that serious special. A soul that neither team would want to go for normally in this situation.
Yeah,
but it
always comes down to 100-meter room.
Yeah, it could force modders to go for this early 100-meter room, wasting a lot of time just to deny this bingo.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting all the bingo classics. We got a really, really close game in game 1 with a rush to Shibuya Cubby to kick things off, and we're right back to Sewer Special in game 2. Thank you, Twinkachu, for generating the best possible boards.
We see Daft entering the Shibuya area, and probably heading off to Hikage, seeing what he can secure there. Hikage Graffiti being one of the longer routes and longer and more cannon-intensive routes in the entire game.
Yeah.
But Ace-Bats is already there. Ace-Bats just keeps denying Daft throughout this entire endeavor. Outside of the 2 Sky Dino souls that he picked up relatively early.
Yeah, I think Bats took that personally. And now we see Alis in bottom point once more. I'm assuming that she probably did a little bit of spraying when she was here previously to pick up the special soul. So she... Nope, actually, never mind. She has 2 sprays done. So she is doing a fresh bottom point graffiti route right now.
We see 7th Ace rushing to the top pursuers, working to deny this bingo.
And I love this play from Bats and Alis because they've set up this bingo and then they're just going for graffiti instead. They are forcing Modder's hand and then faking them out. This is really, really clever gaming. This is something I think we've seen a couple of times where teams will play around the less desirable squares on the map, 100 meter room being one of them, and then just use that to lever an advantage and outmaneuver their opponents. And SSC&K have absolutely done that so far in this game.
It's amazing to see how much SSC&K have dominated this second game after how close that first game was.
Yeah, and I mean, even then, the early game in this game was, I would say, Modder's favor. They were setting up that bingo, and really it was just down to Daft not being able to get out of Sky Dino quickly enough and getting stuck in Jazz Race that things started to turn around. Because if they lock in that bingo, they also deny the bingo from SSC&K, and this is a completely different game.
And it just goes and shows, in Bingo 2v2, no matter how good your opponent starts, one critical mistake can change the entire thing.
Yeah, the ability to adapt to the situation is so important in this game. You can be the best in the world at moving, you can know your way in and out of every part of the map. It won't make a difference if you can't adapt your strategy. And that's why I love this bingo so much, because there are so many different ways to be good at it. And yep, Smith is absolutely right. Post-match interview, they say, what strat?
It looks like Ace-Bats elected to leave Hikage just to respawn all the early cans in the level.
I like that. Yeah, canagement is a nightmare in Hikage, in Bingo especially. It's bad enough in the regular game, but when you've got 50 tags to spray in this area...
And no cop fights.
And no cop fights to refill, yeah, it is incredibly difficult.
And it looks like 7th Ace has finally picked up that 150k special points. So, denying the bingo.
At what cost?
Exactly, at what cost did this time investment cost? Put them at a loss.
So Alis just 2 sprays away from that bottom point graffiti lock-in. That's still got a lot of work to do in Hikage, but it is a very long route. But this is them using their time effectively. We also see Daft is actually ahead in Hikage right now, so that might be a way back into the game for the modders right now, but as you can see at the score, it's 11-5 right now for SSC&K. And still...
And we see Alis finishing off that graffiti out, 7th Ace immediately realizing it and abandoning bottom point as fast as he got into it.
Yeah, and there is still one bingo on the board for modders, and that is that final column 5. Man, some lag on Alis's end here. I'm not sure if this is me or Twitch. I'm gonna do one of these.
Like it's trying to catch up.
See if I can figure this out.
But that last bingo, that's going to be so hard to go for, especially if Daft is purely focusing on Hikage right now. Having to go all the way from Chuo to Sky Dino. What I would like to see Daft do here is finish pre-spraying this area of Hikage and then leave and go into Chuo and try to pick up these 2 Chuos souls. I think it would do them a lot more good than just getting this one bingo.
Yeah, and...
I mean, denying this one graffiti's work.
The thing is with the strategy in Bingo is you have to be able to do a lot of mental maths to work out exactly what the right move is at any given point, because you need to know whether a graffiti is worth it. You need to be able to assess how quick the graffiti is compared to getting souls. You need to work out whether a bingo is going to be worth it in terms of time commitment versus point cost. There's so much going on.
And currently we see Alice entering Dogenzaka Hill. She's probably going to go immediately for that Dogen past statue soul. It's an easy default. It just takes a bit longer to get than most.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because it's a pretty quick soul to get as far as the defaults go. But it was completely left and abandoned by everybody because nobody went to the Shibuya side of the map at the beginning of the game. Everyone was straight out to sewers and dark side.
It'd be interesting to see here whether Alice elects to do Shibuya Tricks 25 here first, or to go into the longer Churro souls with Churro special on the board. But 7th Ace is already in Churro. She's going to realize with this times 4 air pickup that there's no point to go into Churro. She's actually immediately turning around. Oh, she's not sure of herself. Maybe I'd like to do Shibuya now instead of trying to contest the Skydown or SDPP, or going the faster way out through
Seeing another kind of another conflict of bingos here where SSC&K potentially have the row 4 bingo, but that would conflict with the column 5 bingo that MODDURS have. And we're getting a lot of that so far in this match.
And I think Ace Bats is just going to continue focusing on this Hikage graffiti, not knowing who Daft is. I think that this is a perfectly sound play by them. They're up by so much, it makes sense just to get this graffiti and continue building their lead.
If MODDURS did manage to snipe it away, even then, it doesn't get them completely back into the game. Like, that would bring them up to 9 points. There's no bingos dependent on that tile. So, yeah, it would be a lot of time committed by Bats for nothing if Darth manages to snipe it away. But even then, they managed to work that time in their favor because they sent 7th Ace off to get 100 meter. So it would just be swinging things back. It's a really huge lead for SSC&K right now.
Just see 7th Ace finally unlocking Shiro's special. And as you can see, it spawns so far up the map, so far away from its unlock point, that it's an incredibly long soul to commit to.
Yeah, so just having a look at what's left on the board compared to where everybody is, we got Shibuya Tricks 25 is a relatively quick one, but there's nothing else in that area really, so maybe we'll see 7th Ace pick it up on the way out of Chuo, but that's literally the last thing left on the map.
And
in that side of the map.
And we see Alice entering Sky Dino, intent on denying the 100 Trick Soul from MODDURS, and in turn denying the bingo.
Yeah, and that could be game deciding, and it really does feel like MODDURS have had a couple of flashes of brilliance, particularly in the early game, but they've been playing catch-up for most of this, and SSC&K have really come out swinging for Season 2.
And I don't know how much you've been paying attention to the sprays in Hikage, but Ace Bats and Daft are actually within one spray of each other right now.
Incredibly close again. And Hikage is another one of those areas where your route does really matter in terms of both canagement and being able to pick up quick sprays. And right here, I think we're going to see the advantage that Ace Bats has been able to manifest by having the slightly better route through this area.
Yeah, it looks like Daft must have missed sprays on one of his sides.
And there it is.
So maybe it wasn't as close as we thought.
It's a huge lead now for SSC&K as Hikage Graffiti gets locked in 15-7. Let's see, with no graffitis left on the map, there are 7 points left on the map, which means SSC&K have clinched the game here and now with that graffiti locked in.
And even so, even with this loss, what I'm hoping to see from MODDURS, if they continue playing, is for Daft to get this Shibuya Soul relatively quickly and then book it to Kibo to just try to clean up the board and show some bit of strength as they lose even in a loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's all experience, and I think there's a dimension of the mental game that comes into it as well. I think, especially for Daft, who hasn't been playing JSRF a lot recently, just getting this experience in the competitive setting and by playing this out is everything's going to help going forward. But we have our first winners coming into Season 2 of JSRF Bingo. The team that didn't pick up a single match win last season, SSC&K. They are our current leaders. I'm going to punch it in right now. Record this moment for posterity.
We can't stress enough. Daft just found out he was playing in this tournament not even like 10 days ago. It was really sudden that he was picked up for this tournament.
Yeah, sorry about that, Daft. So, I'm sure most people know the story. Ace was meant to have 2 different teammates coming into this tournament. Both of them had to drop out, one of them being me, due to unforeseen circumstances. So Daft coming in to save the day and keep this tournament afloat. Big props to him for that.
Now we see Ayla's having picked up that Sky Dino, so probably going to stay in SDPP and try to pick up these 2 SDDP souls that are in the board. Going to the top of Observatory first, just because it's so fast to get to after leaving Sky Dino.
Yeah, so I might have called this ever so slightly early. I think there was perhaps a bingo still on the map for modders, but it's not there anymore, so game is over. I'm correct?
So.
I'm right.
No, there was no bingo.
Yeah, I think there was at some point, but...
Yeah, until after Ayla's denied it with the 100 tricks pickup.
Right, okay. There's a lot going on. Got to get back into the habit of bingo. It's been a while, but man, it's good to be back.
4 screens to track at the same time is no easy feat.
Yeah, and it used to be harder, but thank you, 7th Ace, for providing us with the automatic scoring, which is just the best thing ever for me, because my ability to mentally process stuff is not fast.
Now we don't have to do math on the fly. And it looks like 7th Ace has beaten Ayla's up to that top of Observatory Soul, having got into the climb before Ayla's. So Ayla's still showing off a really impressive fast climb, even though she's not always getting the soul.
Yeah, and what this game has shown us, I think, is that Ayla's in particular has been putting a lot of work into movement around some of the more difficult areas. The Ace absolutely still has it when it comes to doing SCPP graffiti, and the SSC&K's established synergy, perhaps, is going to be a real strength for them coming in. They don't have to adapt to new teammates, they've had plenty of time to practice together, and it's really paid off. So I think we're just going to clear up the last 3 here. Gives us a little bit of time to talk about the rest of the tournament as a whole. As I said previously, it's a single round robin, best of 3. So we'll be seeing both of these teams play twice more, and then we'll be moving into the playoffs. Team in first out of the round robin will be playing the team in fourth, and second and third will play each other, and then we'll move from there into the semi-finals and then the grand final. And the other teams competing, let's talk a little bit about them. So we have the Apologists, which is Jakey and Jammy Pat. I'm really excited to see them play. I think they are the dark horses. And then there's your team, Cheetos, which is you and Krabby.
Yeah, me and Krabby are the Cheetos.
I'm really excited to see you guys play as well, because you've been doing a lot of practice. I think, from what I've seen, you've been the team practicing the most, at least publicly. I'm not sure if the other teams have been practicing in private calls and such, but just, being in and around the bingo server and such, you two have been putting a lot of time and effort into practicing, so I'm excited to see what it means for you.
It's definitely helped us with the map awareness and the bingo identification, I'd say, versus when we first started. But it will be a rupture just because me and Krabby have mainly been playing 1v1s. So we'll see if we're able to transition this practice into a 2v2 setting.
Yeah, that's a good point. But shout outs to my co-commentator Dilla, who before a couple of weeks ago, you'd never really played bingo, you'd not really watched much bingo, and for you to come in right here and now and do your commentary for the first time and provide really insightful game knowledge and an ability to really pick up what's going on. Really impressed, so well done. Thanks for coming and commentating with me. I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you for inviting me. And it looks like the board has been finally cleaned up. So we can go ahead and pull SSC&K up in here and talk to them about their match win.
Alright,
unless you want to do the losers first.
No, let's bring in the winners first. So there it is, yeah. SSC&K taking the win in their first game of Season 2. Congratulations!
Okay, sure. This happened.
In disbelief, but we did it. GG.
Very impressive win. Well done.
I have betrayed Kevin.
I wouldn't call my graffiti on the first match anything but the opposite, but I'll take it.
We were really impressed in this first game how you were just always one step ahead of Daft in this Shibuya area, and how it was really the game changer for y'all's
Nice
team
one, A-list.
Oh, thank you. My mind games are finally like playing off, I guess, because usually I like make a lot of good decisions and then can't actually do anything about it. So, like, I'm crazy. It's like crazy to hear that, honestly. Like, I was constantly worried that you were going to snipe me to everything. Like,
yeah, your strategy was very impressive in both games. There were a couple of wobbles in the early game where modders looked like they would be able to put out a big lead, but you were always where you needed to be, and your execution really made the difference in the clutch moments. So, congrats on your win.
I wasn't playing clutch, I was playing pots.
Ooh.
Another big moment from this series is when Ace Batch was able to just get out of Sky Dino just significantly faster than Daft. Was
that the one where I did that thing I discovered like 10 minutes before the match?
I'm not trying to throw you under a bus right now, by the way, Daft. But Ace Patch was able to just get out so fast.
That was Ace's hole, right? That did that. Like,
no,
was it Ace's hole? Was it the
Sky
other one?
Dino defaults, but yeah, I figured he'd get me to. Yeah, I fucked up leaving Sky Dino for sure. But.
And then Ace got into that Jazz race, and then 20 seconds into it, Daft talks to Jazz, throwing away all the momentum Modders had built up prior to that.
Yeah, it was incredibly close, and it came down to clutch moments like that. Another one was Alice, your Shibuya graffiti in game 1. Pretty much threw you straight into the lead, and took away a double bingo from the modders, as well as setting up for your own bingo. Really, really good call on that, good execution, because Darth was there as well, and you managed to beat him out to that.
He was actually one
really
spray away. He was one spray away.
Oh no, don't tell me that. Oh god.
Mm-hmm.
I came in from Chiwo and I was like, right, I just have to go. I don't care about my management because I've only ever practiced it coming from Garage. So like my management was like very scary, and I spent a lot of time like trying to get cans, and like I was very afraid that I was going to get sniped to that. So god, that's terrifying.
I believe the
You won both your graffiti in game 1 by one spray each.
Yeah, I think SCPP graffiti also came down to one spray.
It did. I missed Kevin and had to go back out for Kevin. Finally made it to Kevin, and then got the square got marked as I jumped to it.
So all in all, a really close game in a lot of different ways. But it ends up as a 2-0 win for SSC&K. Congratulations on your first ever bingo tournament match win, by the way.
It's coming home.
We did.
Bingo season 2.
Alright, so it's just coming up to 11 o'clock now here in Great Britain, so we're going to wrap the stream up here and now. Thank you all for playing. Thank you all for watching. It's great to be back. We will be back, hopefully, on Sunday for the Apologists versus Cheetos.
Yes, and I believe that match should be around noon or 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time.
I believe there's a link under the stream that has information about the tournament and future matches if anyone is interested in clicking
You are
that.
correct.
Critical information, if you will.
Ooh, the critical information.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, that's going to do it from us. So, thank you for watching. We'll see you on Sunday.